He never thought a wedding could feel lonelier than his own home. But as Ethan stood in the corner of the grand ballroom, adjusting the tie his little daughter insisted he wear, that's exactly how it felt. Laughter, music, and clinking glasses filled the air, yet all he could think about was how out of place he looked, a single dad, just a guest, trying not to let his past show on his face. He didn't know that before the night ended, the bride's best friend, a woman with eyes that carried both grace and sorrow, would walk straight toward him, take his hand, and whisper words that would change his heart forever. "Dance with me, before you notice." Ethan had been invited out of courtesy, a friend of the groom from college, someone who hadn't been part of their lives for years. He almost didn't come. Between work, raising his 7-year-old daughter Lily, and keeping up with bills, a wedding felt like a luxury he couldn't afford, not in money, not in emotions, but Lily had begged him. "Please, Daddy. You never go anywhere fun." She'd said it with those wide, hopeful eyes that looked so much like her late mother's. And so, here he was, in a suit that didn't quite fit, holding a glass of punch he didn't plan to drink, watching strangers dance under golden lights. He caught sight of the bride and groom laughing on the dance floor, and a small smile tugged at his lips. They looked so alive. So complete. A quiet ache settled in his chest. He missed that feeling, being part of someone's world. "Excuse me," a gentle voice interrupted his thoughts. He turned. She stood there in a soft blue gown that shimmered with every step, elegant, confident, but with something tender in her gaze. "Hi," she said, offering a small smile. "You're Ethan, right? The groom's old college friend?" He nodded, slightly awkward. "Yeah. And you must be Clara." She extended her hand. "Bride's cousin. Maid of honor, technically. Though, I think my real job tonight is making sure everyone has fun." Her tone carried lightness, but her eyes, they told another story. He'd seen that look before, someone holding it together, even when life had broken pieces of them. For the next few minutes, they made small talk. About the wedding, about how long it had been since either of them danced, about Lily's obsession with cupcakes. Clara laughed at that, really laughed, the kind of laugh that made people want to join in, but then the music shifted. The lights dimmed, and a soft, slow melody filled the hall. Couples moved closer together, hands finding hands, hearts finding rhythm. Ethan's instinct was to step back, to fade into the background where he belonged. But before he could, Clara reached out, her fingers brushed his. "Warm. Steady, dance with me," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. He blinked. I don't really dance anymore." She smiled, sad, knowing. "Then don't dance. Just hold my hand. Sometimes, that's enough." And before he could say another word, she took his hand and led him onto the dance floor. He moved stiffly at first, aware of the whispers, the glances. He was the quiet guest, the single dad who rarely smiled. What was he doing dancing with the most beautiful woman in the room? But Clara didn't care. She leaned closer and whispered, "You're doing fine." Something inside him loosened, years of self-blame, of loneliness, of thinking he wasn't allowed to be happy anymore. He looked into her eyes, and for the first time in years, he didn't see pity. He saw understanding. Later that night, when the crowd thinned and the stars replaced chandeliers, they sat outside on the stone steps, shoes off, laughter soft. Clara told him about her own pain, how she'd called off her engagement a year ago when she realized love without respect wasn't love at all. How she spent months trying to rebuild her confidence. Ethan shared about losing his wife in a car accident, about the sleepless nights when Lily would ask, "When is mommy coming back?" and he had no words to give. There was no judgment between them, just quiet, raw honesty. At one point, Clara looked at him and said softly, "You're stronger than you think, Ethan. You showed up. That's more than most people do." He chuckled weakly. "Sometimes showing up is all I can manage." She smiled. "Then keep doing that. Keep showing up. Because one day, someone's going to notice." Weeks passed after the wedding. He didn't expect to hear from her, and yet, one afternoon while picking Lily up from school, he found a note tucked under his car's wiper blade. It read, "You still owe me a dance. Clara." He smiled, the kind of smile that reached his eyes for the first time in years. When he called her that evening, they talked for hours. About everything and nothing. About fears and little joys. About the strange comfort of finding someone when you least expect it, and maybe, just maybe, about what it means to fall in love again. Months later, Ethan stood at another wedding, this time much smaller, under the open sky. Lily stood beside him, holding flowers, and when the music started, Clara turned toward him, her smile as radiant as the day he first saw her. She took his hand again, eyes glistening. "Dance with me," she whispered. He laughed softly. "You know I can't dance." She grinned. "Then just hold my hand." So he did, and for the first time in a long while, Ethan didn't feel like just a guest at someone else's happiness. He was home.